the rents themselves are paid by the capitalists. So if you're producing a bicycle or a book and you sell it through Amazon, through Alibaba, through a myriad of such platforms, now doing amazing business in Indonesia, in Africa. It's not just a Western phenomenon, right? Of course in China. If you are producing stuff, material goods or services or movies, you sell them through that kind of cloud feed and you pay rent. For the very first time in the history of humanity, capital is being produced or reproduced by people who are not being paid as wage laborers. So every time you post a review on Amazon, you walk around London or drive around London with your phone, and the phone is pinging Google Maps where you are.
And producing data.
So Google Maps becomes more valuable because it can predict congestion. So you are contributing to the capital of these large conglomerates without being a paid laborer. I call that a cloud serf. Now, interestingly, when I was researching this book, I discovered that on average, conglomerates of the old capitalist type pay about 80 to 85% of their revenues to workers. Facebook pays 1%. Why? Because Facebook, the capital of Facebook, is produced for free by everybody who creates their own pages, posts messages, and sends reviews to one another, and so on. And this is all free labor.
Yeah, but they would say this is not labor. This is not people working for us.
It is
This
work.
is people getting a product by choice. No one's forcing them to do it. They are choosing to use the platform that Facebook is, or whichever platform you might be talking about. And they are getting a convenience out of it. They're getting a service from that.
But that's irrelevant. It is true that people do it voluntarily. I do it. I couldn't live without my phone, without my TikTok, without my. I'm an addict as well. Right?
So are they
I
serfs?
volunteer. But voluntary serfdom is the worst kind of serfdom. But anyway, this is not an ethical point I'm making. It doesn't matter whether you're forced or we are not forced. The fact is that you're doing a lot of work. All these kids with uploading TikTok videos, they love it. If you took it away from them, they would hate you, especially if you're a parent, as I am, and I'm sure you are. But nevertheless, the fact remains, they put a lot of work. They don't think of it as work, but it is work. And it is work that is replenishing the capital stock of TikTok. Now, that from a macro perspective is crucial because you have capital being reproduced without wage labor. Now, why is it important? Because wage labor means that there are wages that are being paid, and those wages contribute to the demand for things in the marketplace. When you have all this labor producing capital, but it is not remunerated, that shrinks aggregate demand macroeconomically. And what does that mean? It means that central banks cannot get away without printing more money to replenish the demand. But then, especially when you have an inflationary cost of living crisis as we do now, there is a clash of objectives. On the one hand, to arrest rising prices, but on the other hand, if you don't print the money, because you have so much work that is not remunerated, then aggregate demand is shrinking. This is why central bankers are in a state of apoplexy. They do not know what to do. They are damned if they do, raise interest rates, and they're damned if they don't. So this is not a theoretical book, from my perspective. It's an attempt to understand the world we live in